Okay, good morning, viewers. Good morning, members from all over Nigeria and beyond. You are welcome to the 5th episode of CITN Taxation and You. Over the past few months, we've gone through various aspects of taxation on how they impact on Nigerians, on taxpayers, on businesses, on individuals, on governments, and now we can use that to stimulate the quality of life of Nigerians and the people that do businesses in Nigeria. That is the philosophy guiding the program CITN Taxation and You. Today is the 5th episode. We'll be dealing with a topic issue titled Harnessing Nigerian Tax Environment for National Development. Harnessing Nigerian Tax Environment for National Development. My name is Oje Samuel. With me, I have a very special guest, my senior, my chairman, my Egbon, who is here to do justice to what we'll be discussing today. His name is Mr. Samagbeyi. Mr. Sama is on the call. Is tax partner, global reporting and global compliance and reporting at Ernst & Young. My chair, Mr. Sama, you're welcome to our program.
Thank you very much, and a very good morning to our teaming listeners.
Yeah, thank you, my guest. So, what is it about harnessing Nigerian tax environment for national development? Our viewers, for information, are made up of not just CITN members. We have the lay people, we have the ordinary people, whether they are hawkers, itinerant traders, SMEs, they pay taxes. And this kind of people listening to us, the cadres range from very uneducated people to the most educated. Also, in the cluster of those listening and looking at us, we have our CITN members.
Correct.
So we are not going to make a presumption. We're going to start and ask, how will you describe the Nigerian tax structure and tax environment for everyone to get a full
So thank you very much, OJ Samuel, and special thanks to the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria for bringing CITN Taxation and You to life. It's something that is very good. And you see, one of the issues that we've seen prior to now, it's so much about tax awareness, and CITN coming on board to do this is a very fantastic initiative. So to go straight to your question, the Nigerian tax environment or structure is such that you have some at the federal level, you have at the states level, and you also have at the local government level. Now, these three arms, of course, have their respective areas of coverage. Although over the years, we've seen one particular arm going into another arm so as to enhance their revenue potential. But the key summary is that the tax structure for the federal level is actually governed and administered by the Federal Inland Revenue Service. Okay, we've seen so many Federal Inland Revenue Service offices at different locations, nooks and crannies of this country. So that's one. The respective state boards of internal revenue, including the Federal Capital Internal Revenue Service, okay, is the second layer or second level, okay? And when you get to the local government bits, you'll be talking about the local government revenue committee. What are they all doing? They are all there to earn revenue for their principals. In the case of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, for federal government of Nigeria, we've got 36 states in Nigeria. Those state boards of internal revenue or state internal revenue services are answerable to their principal, meaning the government, the governor of the state. And when you get to the local government, which is usually headed by the local government chairman, okay, you see the local government revenue committee answerable to that. Now, if we dig down a little into what taxes are covered by these agencies, that's when you talk about Federal Inland Revenue Service, you talk solely on significantly on companies' income tax, petroleum tax, you talk about the withholding tax, which is not and something that I would like to shed some light on,
Okay.
probably when the question comes up, and if it doesn't, I'll find a way of educating that withholding tax is not another genre of tax. It's just an advance payment of income tax. And when you talk income tax, you have it at the federal, you also have it at the state level. Okay, you have value-added tax, you have the police trust fund, you have the NITDA levy, which is the technology levy. So good, Naseni has been adjusted. And for the state boards of internal revenue, yes, that was why I said there are links there. If I start with withholding tax for individuals are administered by relevant state boards of internal revenue, okay? Personal income tax administered by state boards of internal revenue. You have stamp duties relating to individuals going to the state boards of internal revenue and on like that. But levies are significantly administered by the local government revenue committee.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Summer. You've given us an overview from the federal, state, and the local government revenue committee and the scope of taxes and where there are intersections.
Yeah.
Are various points between the federal and state level. And what will you say on the number of taxes in Nigeria? From professional point of view, we could bring logic to it and say this tax deals with this is a petroleum profit, this is a common income tax, this is a VAT, this is stamp duty, this is import duty, this, that, and that. But from the taxpayer's point of view, for me, I'm paying fees, levies, and the outgoings of cash under the name, under various guises of taxes. So I may say, these are too many. Why not just streamline? Why not just focus on one thing? Why is this government not just say and tell me this is the amount and one of tax I have to pay? But from the professionals, I've kind of explained it. So for a taxpayer, for the ordinary man in the street, the SMEs out there, and there's so many informal businesses, will you say we have too many taxes?
So I'll just go straight to responding with just a simple clause. Yes, we have too many. When I say we have too many, now if you look at the federal level, because the Federal Inland Revenue Service, of all the 3 tiers that we have mentioned, appears to be the most organized, not just being the most organized, they are kind of the first to go digital with respect to taxation. Now, when I said companies income tax, petroleum profit tax, value-added tax, withholding tax, which is not another type of tax, I was actually talking to the fact that, look, for all these entities, a company may understand, okay? A company may understand. When you come to states and you see the journey of taxes that is administered, the state's case is a child's play when it comes to local government instance. Now, most of these guys really and truly do not go to well-established companies because the man out there is seriously complaining. And what we've said over the years is that, look, tax to GDP is quite low. I'll beg to differ. And the reason is simple. There are so many levies or taxes in the name of levies collected by local government from SMEs, from the woman and the marketplace, and all these monies, well, whether they are accounted for or not. And you recall that when we talk about administration, it's got to do with accountability as well, at least the amount of funds that you have gotten from the public. So for me, the number of taxes are just too many. But you see, something was tested some years back with respect to seeing how the State Board of Internal Revenue and the Federal Inland Revenue Service may work together. A simple test that was conducted was in the conduct of tax audit exercises. So saying, look, we do not want this pressure, so much pressure on taxpayers. Instead of going, you have Federal Inland Revenue Service come on day 1, you have State Board of Internal Revenue come on day 2, you have local government representatives come on day 3. Just looking at the state and the federal, I honestly do not think that particular trial did work, because some of the states guys are saying, look, let's come collect our taxes by ourselves, because if everything is paid to the federal, and it may be difficult for them to get it, that simple test alone lends credence to the fact that there is a need for greater cooperation amongst tax authorities. Now, you know, this is Lagos State. We are in Lagos State as we speak, the head office and the headquarters of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria.
Right.
Okay, we are in, I don't know what the local government we are in now, but we are in Ikeja. We are in Ikeja. Okay, moving from one local government to the other, for someone on the street trading, you have so many permits for the vehicles, meaning once you pay at this end, the conventional and the ordinary thing is that you should not pay at the other end. And that's why we talk about multiplicity of tax. And if you talk about multiplicity, there is no way anyone will tell you that we are not already in that zone. We are in the zone because the same base, the same income that you earn, certain taxes, charges, levies were being demanded on the same sum. And what do we see again? You see the use of agents, the use of consultants, and most of these guys, once you have a paid agent, you can be sure that the man is after his commission. So the pressure on taxpayers is quite enormous. And that is why we're saying government should look for a way of harmonizing, you know, some of these taxes and levies, so that you just go to a point and make one payment. Now, I was in a meeting, I think that was last week. Yes, I was in a meeting where the local government chairman of Ibejuleki addressed a number of people in a particular estate in Lagos. And what did this? He said, look, that for him and his team, that they've harmonized. And someone, a member, a resident in that particular estate, actually did confirm it. That, look, before it will get levies for sewage, levies for drainage, levies for TV, and so many levies like that. And that's what we're talking about. The guy actually did confirm that these monies now come in one document saying you have to pay this and this is what you're paying for. And the guy said, well, I think he mentioned 160,000 or something. He made the payment and that was it. So such a local government can be emulated, even at the state level and at the federal level, to saying you've been reviewed, this has been done, and this is what you should pay. You pay it and you go to sleep with your two eyes closed, as against receiving recurrent letters on the same matter. You know, so that's just my view on. But the truth is, for me, the number of taxes are just too many.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much, Soma. So let's look at you know, this multiplicity. Yeah. From what you've explained, seems to be prevalent at the local government level. You know, all this store levy, radio permits, market licensing, hackney, all of these too many things. And more importantly, the way they are administered. Some group of guys just show up to local store with certain chain padlock to lock up if you're not paying. And then the modus of operandi, Lagos seems to be even better because in 2010, 2011, Lagos State consolidated.
That's right.
Consolidated certain fees and levies and said these are the official components of the fees levies collectible by local governments in Lagos State.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So do you think through the JTB, right, through the JTB and also through the influence of the federal government, we can have some form of levies or fees harmonization at that local government level nationwide, even though we know there are little peculiarities.
That's right.
There will create some sort of sanity in the way these levies are trumped up and charged. Okay,
so you mentioned administration. And when you talk about administration, you're talking about registration in the first place. Okay, when you register, I mean, coming into the tax net. Okay, coming into the tax net, we afford government to know the number of taxpayers. So that's one. The second one with respect to administration will be tax filing, returns, assessment, collection, enforcement, sometimes, of non-payment. Now, that's an area that government may not have done so well. And what do I mean by that? A conventional businessman, all things being equal, would not like the business to be short. That's the truth. You will not like your business to be shut down because you see these guys going around with chains, and you're correct. Lagos State has done something, and that lends credence to what I said about the chairman of the Ibeju local government. So if other committees, okay? So, and I think this should start at the JTB level. I mean, going back to government to saying, look, this is what we want to do. Our people are willing to pay. Now, we've not mentioned anything about what you're doing with the monies you are getting from me, because we talked about development, economic development as a whole. If I'm seeing what you're doing with the funds that you get from me, I will be pushed to pay more. Sometimes I may not even wait for you to come, because I know that once I pay, the money will be judiciously used. So the thing around it, we've got 774 local governments in Nigeria. Of course, there are development areas as well. Okay, so with the 774, it will be good for them to come together just with a view to saying, this is the way it looks. Now, I do not want to be shortchanged if I'm a local government chairman. This is, so if we're going to assign figures, and let what you are paying in Lagos, let it mirror what is done in Ogun State, let it mirror what is done in Akwa Ibom, in Uyo, and in so many other states, including the northern part of this country. You see, when that is done, before now, we've heard instances of people saying, look, I will leave Lagos State, I will go to Ogun State. I will leave Ogun State, I will go to Cross River State. Now, if all these things are the same and are judiciously applied across board, the implication here is there is nowhere to run. Okay? True. That's it.
Wow, thank you so much. So now speaking on this environment, can you create the nexus between our tax environment and the nation's national development?
Well, thank you. That's a fantastic question. You see, when we talk about national development, it's easy for even the layman to understand. National development is about continuous improvement in infrastructural development. And what do I mean by infrastructural development? You're talking about solid road construction. You're talking about water, provision of potable water. You're talking about schools. You're talking about technology. You're talking about power. You're talking about, you see, so many things are coming. And we said taxation is used as a means of generating revenue for government to implement all these infrastructural developmental issues. So if we're going to implement any of these developmental issues, then you need taxation. Now, that is not the only use of taxation, okay? Because you can use tax to drive certain behaviors in consumption, okay? If I do not want my people to eat too much of a particular item, like we saw very recently, certain levies can be imputed on all that. It can also be used to encourage savings. And when you save, so when I talk about savings, if you look at the pension stuff, you can actually increase yours because you know you will derive certain benefits from all such acts, talking about you increasing your percentage. But the key thing at the end of the day is that government and development, taxation and development goes hand in hand. Once government is able to get more revenue, then you tend to see more development, all things being equal. Some of these things are just maybe paperwork, because somebody may say, look, what are they even doing with the funds? But the key and very important bit of it is that with national development, with good water, I remember when we were young, there was potable water even all over the place, you know, here in Lagos State. But where do you see that? You have boreholes everywhere. And the risk again, the danger in that is you have borehole very close to the septic tank, the soakaway, and all those things. And if some of those issues are not appropriately addressed, there will be much more to pay when you talk about the medicals in terms of health, which is part of the development. Now, how many new roads do we have? How many new schools have been built? How many new, I'm talking about tier rubber hospitals. Okay. How many of, I'm not talking about building an airport in the middle of nowhere, one. I'm not talking about building an airport or in where you have an airport that is very, very close to the one that is just being built. Look, we've got to manage our priorities. And national development, taxation, like I said, goes hand in hand. If appropriately managed, taxation is meant to help in the building of the nation. Because once those tax sums comes in, once the money, once they come in, we are able to build new bridges. We are able to build, in fact, start with education. If we start with education, our people are better enhanced. Look at the JAPA syndrome. You have so many qualified, you're talking about national development without your best hands. It's not a good thing.
Well, thank you. This is getting wider, much wider. Thank you, sir, Professor. So let's talk about a typical investor who is trying to come into Nigeria. They are trying to attract foreign direct investment, direct as a real investment that will create job.
That's right.
Will you say that the Nigerian tech environment is most attractive of what we have in the West African sub-region from experience?
Okay, so thank you very much. You see, and I think it's time to wake up. When I say it's time to wake up, we should wake up to the fact that we, talking about Nigeria as a nation, are not the only country running after those foreign direct investments. If you look at the oil and gas bits, looking at the volume of investment that have gone into Angola, honestly, it is significantly incomparable to what we have in Nigeria. And the other bit of this is, look, as a nation of well over 220 million people. So when you see people, what some of us see, invest is money, because meaning there are things to be manufactured and there are people to take up those manufactured goods or services. So the thing around it is that our tax environment, I would say, is yes, we are developing, yes, we are coming up, yes, we are trying to make things to be in order. But the thing around it is, if we do not make it to be very, very competitive. Look at, I understand from a country I will not mention name, here in South Africa, in Africa, just West Africa actually, normally if you come with your business case, you can get a tax-free period of 7 years or 10, even 10 years. Now we're given 5 years here, and what you see at the end of the day is even questioning on the 5 years that you've gotten. And why do we actually incentivize investors to come into the country? Okay, it's just with a view to saying, look, you can come in here, you can manufacture here, we can consume more here. Okay, when you are manufacturing here, remember, okay, employment is enhanced, and all that have got to do with, you know, national development. If employment is enhanced, it means the purchasing capacity of the citizens goes up. If you do not focus so much on that, then it will be very difficult. Tax or otherwise, I tell you, others have, what we should have done as a nation is to have gone by 1,000 miles ahead of these other countries around us. We've got the technology, we've got solid education, we've got the solid weather we have, and if we don't take advantage of what we're supposed to take advantage of, look, Niger is there, Ghana is there, Benin Republic is there, Senegal is there, calling for the same foreign direct investment. Now, if we do not push to ensuring that we actually take advantage of that, those things will fly away. Some years back, I understand a multinational moving out of Nigeria to Ghana. We've got infrastructural challenges. But our tax environment should be such that will actually invite on its own foreign direct, just bring them in first. By the time they get in, look, we have operations, free trade zones, We have operations in export processing zones, export processing factories. Now, those are locations that will help us as a nation to move forward and really entice those foreign direct investments. And that is not without saying this. Part of the challenge may actually be self-inflicted because yes, foreign direct investment, because some of them will ask us, yes, how is the tax authority like? The tax authorities, are they like very aggressive, mild? And, you know, so those are questions that comes in from potential developer and business. Business decisions are around these areas. And look, if the taxman is very aggressive, is too aggressive, okay? And because if you talk about tax avoidance in this particular space, there is nothing wrong with it, with you avoiding structuring your affairs in line with the provisions of the law, essentially taking advantage of the provisions, okay? But when it turns evasion, it's a problem. So if I evade, what happens to pay penalties? Of course, but you are able to plan your affairs, okay? And if somebody is planning his affairs and the taxman comes, and you see, talking about compliance or otherwise, compliance is key. Compliance over the years has been seen to be a one-way traffic, which shouldn't be. As the taxpayer is complying, the tax authorities too should be complying with respect to the rightful interpretations of those wordings of the law, you know, without adding or taking anything away from it. So what are my ultimate response there would be, we can do more as compared to other West African states.
Yeah, you know, from 2019, a year, and we had the 2019 Finance Act that became applicable from February 1, 2020. We have the Finance Act 2020. We have Finance Act 2021. Will you say the innovations, the amendments by this collection of Finance Act, the innovations and the introductions have not done enough? Or are there not massive bold steps taken to make us look like a better brand when compared to these other countries?
So thank you for that question. You see, the fact remains that, yes, these are positive steps. And when I say positive steps, very, very positive steps. Taxation is supposed to be used to drive certain economic indices. And that's what we've seen. It's plain. And the Finance Act, the advent, also shows that government is listening, okay, to the yearnings of taxpayer. Maybe not enough yet, okay? Maybe not enough yet. But what that is saying to us is that government is listening. And I've been, look at the case of the SMEs, for example. Look at the case of the minimum tax that was dropped down. Look at the COVID stuff in terms of donations and what have you. So those are very, very positive. And that's what we're saying. That's what we're saying, to saying, look, government can always do more. Finance Act advent is very good. Finance Act advent is very solid. Finance Act's introduction on a yearly basis actually helps, okay, companies, operators, and what have you, to ensure that, look, government is on the look, you know, for you as a taxpayer. And when I say government is on, is out there looking at you and how you probably have been doing your business, it's something that taxpayers will actually appreciate. A case in point here is, you know, sometimes when those documents, the drafts are made public, contributions are made. And once those contributions are made, what do we see? We see people coming in to making amendments, okay, making them at least listening and pulling those documents together. I know I did attend a number of those public hearings, okay? I did attend a number of them. They may not have picked some of the things that we said, but at least we're seeing their hands. And without that, honestly, some of these investments may have flown away. So it's a welcome development that governments have been listening and as they've been listening, we expect more changes to come in form of amendments to the tax laws and what have you.
Thank you, my chair. Yeah, this is getting interesting. Thank you for the elucidation and the dimension you brought to all of the discussion. Yeah, we're going to open up our lines. We're going to open up our lines to our viewers out there, those at home, those within and outside of Nigeria, others streaming along with us live on YouTube or joining us via the Zoom platform. So can we get the, for those who have questions, contributions, we may raise up our digital palms. We may raise up our digital palms so that you can be called upon to ask a question, make a contribution, or put in any input you have in this regard. So our operation team, can we please scroll? Is there anyone raising up their digital palm? Please, you need to, when you call in, let us have your name. If you're a member of the institute, you let us have the membership number. And because, and please, it is best you rename your device. Let it bear your name so that we can call you by your name. That is the most appropriate. So you can raise up your palm, your digital palm on system, so I can go ahead to call on you. So while waiting for that, team, can we have the chat? Can we open up the chat to know whether there are questions for us to entertain from there? Okay, well, we have commendations. Can you please scroll? Can you please scroll? Yeah, well, we have commendations and commendation here and there. So we are going to come back there. What we have accommodations. So someone is raising up his or her hand. I do not know, no name. I see Techno CIC. So please introduce yourself and go ahead. Thank you. You may unmute and speak, please. Yes. Okay, that's Madam Shiva. Go ahead, please. You are muted. You may unmute and speak, ma'am.
Thank you very much for the wonderful discussions this morning. I want you to know that we have members of the public that are also listening to these discussions that may not necessarily or are not necessarily CITN professionals. So I want to put across a question against the backdrop of one of our listeners who is not a professional, and to see how you can throw light to this question. The general public has been questioning the idea behind the Finance Act. In their own lay way of reasoning, they believe if the tax laws can no longer serve their purpose, then they should rather be reviewed, and tax laws that will serve our economic purposes should be put in place. So they generally don't understand the issue of every year coming up with a new Finance Act, and they wonder how many Finance Acts we are going to have at the end of the century, and how many practitioners or people who are expected to be compliant to the Finance Act will be able to keep track of the content of each Finance Act. So against that backdrop, what would you have to say to our listener?
So, what's that name?
Yeah, Mrs. Shivare.
Mrs. Shivare, thank you very much for that question. And what's the concerns raised in your question is actually solidly founded. The thing about it is that before this Finance Act came in 2020, in 2019, 2020, yes, 2021, it's actually taken a very, very long time for some of these amendments to be made. And for a businessman, okay, for a businessman, and that's kind of talks to lend credence to the fact that, look, the layman out there does not know what will happen. I don't know whether the company's income tax has returned 40%, 50%. What you're saying is that there should be more stability. Okay, there should be more stability. While government may be playing with some little things here and there, it should not go to the foundation of the tax law. So we are at CITN, and part of what we'll do is to kind of pull all this information together, and kind of pass it on to the powers that be, the Ministry of Finance, National Assembly, and what you have. But the concern, it's actually founded, because if it's going to change tomorrow and I'm an investor, if I'm an investor, what I'll be saying is, look, I don't know what will come tomorrow, so why should I bring my money to Nigeria? Why not go to a location that is more stable?
Okay.
We do not want. What we do not want is for the frequent introduction of Finance Act to start throwing in instability into our tax space. We do not want that. But what it does really and truly is to help people understand. Look at this, for example, the SMEs stuff. Okay, when COVID came in, you can say, yes, let us introduce Finance Act, because COVID was a global phenomenon and it wasn't considered when the provisions of when the laws were crafted. Now that has come, I think that should be amended. So that's quite understandable. But on a yearly basis, throw in Finance Act, or you see, what businesses want is to have longevity. Okay. You can say this Finance Act will stand for like 3 years, meaning I'm able to plan for a period of 3 years, as against sitting down here, because like she said, at the end of the century, we do not know how many Finance Acts we would have had. And of course, this puts consultants, tax consultants, accountants, okay, and tax professionals on their toes, because the frequent changes, you have to constantly read. Apart from constantly reading, you have to be abreast of all issues. And as we sit, okay, those are some of the challenges that the Finance Act came with, and I quite appreciate the question.
Well, thank you so much. I don't see it from that dimension per se, but really, businesses need certain form of stability to enable them plan. It's not a monthly plan. People should want to take a short to medium term plan for that they can rely on. And this is quite appreciated. I go over to F4 or F4 Sunday. You know, mute and speak. Mr. F4 Sunday, Tim, can you please enable him to unmute and speak to us? Thank you.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, sir.
It has been a fantastic discussion. Mine is just a contribution. Okay. Indeed, when you look at the topic, enhancing Nigeria tax environment for national development. As a matter of fact, the coordination of taxation in Nigeria is actually very poor. And this leads to multiple taxation, which actually will not encourage national development. If you look at it, we have so many taxes, of course, administered at the national level, which is, of course, administered by Federal Land Revenue Service. And then you have also, you have for the states, then you have for the local governments. And for example, for those of us in Abuja, and if you look at the way taxes are coming, for example, you have company tax, you have education tax. For those in financial industry, information technology, we also have NIDA, which is the National Information Technology Development Levy. It's also there. And you also have the local government coming with their taxes, for example, business premises levy, you have signage, and sometimes even funding, tax levies, such as sanitation and so on. All these, they are not encouraging. They are not encouraging national development. They will not encourage entrepreneurship. People to actually go into, to establish companies. So for us to have a national development, I think we have to look at it that there must be a very effective way of actually coordinating. Of course, we have a joint task board there, I don't know, and we have to look at it. and that the issue of multiple taxation must be seriously looked at. And, they have to reduce it in order to actually encourage people to, go into establishment of a company that will actually bring about national development. So that is my little contribution. Thank you.
Can I just, you see,
Thank you so much.
you
Yes.
see, he mentioned something that is germane, talking about people bringing in their monies to startups. You see, some may actually not have started any business because of tax issues. Somebody once told me, if I bring my money into developing this particular business, tax may kill me. Honestly, that was what that businessman said. Said, I would rather look for some other things. And you see, when you establish a business, and I agree completely with you, that look, national development has gotten to do with, establishing businesses. Federal government cannot employ every one of us. You need entrepreneurs, okay? And there are ways by which you encourage these entrepreneurs. So you can say, let's have all of you should come in there. There will be power, there will be electricity, there will be sanitation, there will be so many things towards that area. And that in a way will improve and enhance the purchasing capacity of people. You see, once people start buying and selling, the taxman should go there and encourage them, as against running after, look, you've got to pay this, I'm not saying they should not pay, right? But when you have startups, someone that is just rising, that has just employed 5, 10, 15 people, there should be a way of encouraging those entities.
Well, thank you so much for throwing further light on that. I want to call on Mr. Olu Apanishile. Mr. Olu Apanishile, if you are there, you'll be on mute and speak with our guest or make your contribution. Let's make it as snappy as we can.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you loud and clear.
Thank you very much. Good morning, members, and thank you for the good job, Mr. OJ. So I will make it quick, as brief as possible. And I don't know how to call the name, and I don't want to destroy the surname, but our guest has done a wonderful work today, honestly, and that's what I'm taking away. I'm taking away the compliance that you spoke of. For example, if somebody have a business, the government want to take the part out of the turnover, you struggle to pay the bank charges, you struggle to pay security, you struggle to pay fuel, you struggle to pay staff, you struggle to pay levies and signage, only for government to come and take a percentage from the remaining that we call profit before tax. They will charge the company tax on that. They will charge education tax on that. The remaining, they will now come, send their staff, and they will now look like bosses, most especially the FRS staff. When they come for their audit, then you begin to wonder, what the hell of this? No serious business, foreign business will come to Nigeria. I'm not talking about those people that keep their passport in their socks. You all know them, not to mention the name of country. But we're talking about serious business. We can't get it, except there's a change of attitude. And that is why this forum is very, very okay, because those staff that we're talking about are members of the institute. So it's the institute who have to talk to them and look, yes, you want to, even over in UK, you can't take anybody's human right just because that person has done something wrong. Police will stop you on the way and say, sir, until you get to the court. He will never push you, he will never do anything because he is following the law and it can be dealt with if he misbehaves. He cannot use the power. But we have a problem in Nigeria, we become so powerful, especially when we are working with the government. And that should be, we should look into that. That is what I'm taking away today. Honestly, I don't know, because I came about 10 minutes late when I saw I don't know, maybe you have done that with about security too. Just asking, number one, no serious foreign investor will come to. I'm not talking about those people who do all this, come and produce. We're talking about company who can employ over 500,000. That is the real investment we want in this country. You know, we are getting to a stage now that all of us were in trouble, and it's our country. We cannot play again that we are not in trouble now as a nation. The economy is grounded, and we all hands must be on deck to make sure that it doesn't go beyond this, because 250 million in counting on a bad economy is not a good sign. Thank you all. I really appreciate and I enjoy joining this forum.
Thank you, Mr. Lu. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your comments. I want to go to Mr. Adeyemi Oladejo. Mr. Adeyemi Oladejo, please, can you do your contribution, comments, questions, and in less than 1 minute, please. Mr. Adeyemi Oladejo, over to you.
Very well. Thank you so much, sir. I want to profoundly appreciate the Institute for putting this together, and also profoundly thank the speaker, Mr. Temitope Samagbeyi, for doing justice to this very discourse. My question is brief. Next year, we are going to be having the national elections, and we know that with the elections come a lot of instability, and uncertainties. As a veteran within the tax space, what should we expect in terms of the tax outlook generally? I'm saying this because I'm also aware of the fact that some members of the public that are not very conversant with the tax rules are amidst us here. And sometimes they wonder, 2023, should I keep my money in my pocket? Should I invest? What should we expect? What will the outlook be like? Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, so thank you very much, Adeyemi. Talking about the tax outlook for 2023, you are right, you're spot on. The days of the elections are already fixed. And see, the thing about it is, as much as possible, election will come and election will go. That's what I will say, by the grace of God. Election will come and election will go. So we should not, because of the election year, kind of draw back on certain investments. Okay. Now, that is not to say companies should not be aware of this. Now, what can be done? When you talk about, okay, tax filing, provisions can be made for early filing. Look, for your VAT, your withholding, as the case may be. It's also not impossible that government may throw in some incentives through the upcoming Finance Act. We are in December. Today is the 1st of December. Happy New Month to each and every one of our teaming listeners. So government may come up with something. Okay, there will be election in February. Yes. There will be election in March, and there will be handing over on the 29th of May. Yes. These are no mean, they are not small in terms of activities for a nation. The next after 2023 that you see by the grace of God is 2027. So I'm saying they are significant, but businesses should just go by their normal businesses because by God's grace, everything will go on smoothly. There shouldn't see, we had the same election in 2019, we had in 2015, we had in 2011, we had, sorry, in 2009, back and like that. So it will come and it will go, but let's just continue to run our businesses while we wait for what government holds for us. Thank you, Adeyemi.
Thank you so much. So I want to go to Ashir Adam. Ashir Adam, 40 seconds of question, please. Ashir Adam, go ahead, please.
Hello, sir. Good morning.
Morning.
My question or contribution is that I have listened and understand all what you are saying. But the question is that despite the effort made by FRS, the CITN, and those concerned in trying to bring a fair rate in terms of company income tax, but what come into my mind is that yesterday I was receiving lecture from one of my professors who told us that this tax that the government is fixing is somehow not a reasonable rate. So there are some who are very cumbersome with the taxation, even though they are not members of the institute. And also the institute is also trying its best to bring a fair rate, but still some the members outside the institute seems is to be that the rate is somehow not reasonable. I don't know whether my question or point has been gotten, sir. This is my question.
Okay. The general background is noted as in the institute and the tax authority, they should open up to non-tax people to also filter in their views and towards enhancing taxation. That's some one or two things on that.
Yes, it's a valuable contribution, and I quite appreciate that, Azim. See, this program is recorded. And we have so many decision makers here. What you said can actually be achieved through certain sampling of views and opinions. So we'll take back these comments that you have made to the Institute, and I think it will be part of what I can actually add that to what we'll be submitting in my capacity as the Dean of the Indirect Tax Faculty.
Thank you so much. I forgot to tell our audience that Agato is the chairman, Indirect Tax Faculty of the Chartered Institute of Tax of Nigeria, where we have a lot of experts.
Dean, actually.
Dean. It's called Dean. Yeah, it's called Dean, you know. So that's by the way. Yeah, we hop over to Dr. Peter Oguche. Dr. Peter Oguche, we are beginning to be tight for time. 1 minute, Dr. Oguche. Thank you.
Okay. Hello. Good morning to you all. Sorry. Can you hear me?
Clearly, loud and clear.
All right. Sorry for joining late. One of my concerns, basically, when you talk about harnessing the economic development of any nation, a lot of people have made mention of double taxation, and one of my concerns is that if once, because SMEs are the major driver of any economy, why is it that there is no basic tax holiday? Like, let there be a tax break for startup, give them maybe 4 or 5 years so that they can be able to come up with reasonable something to contribute into the economy. But when you start taxing SMEs right from scratch, it will discourage a lot of people. And I don't know the position of the institutes with regards to this frequent review of our financial acts. I don't think it's something that is of good health to the economy. And as an institute, which is shadowed with the responsibility of ensuring that the tax, anything relating to tax, we are also a stakeholder. So what is the position of the institute with regards to that? Because I for one, I don't see that it doesn't make any good economic sense when people in business keep on reviewing their tax structure. It doesn't really make any good sense. So I felt that the institute should put up a proposal to the National Assembly. There could be a public hearing. So we're also a stakeholder. But if we leave it for the government to decide for all of us, then at the end of the day, we'll see that things will not even go away with our economy. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Oguche. Mr. Sima, I have something to say. One of our respondents just chatted to Dr. Oguche that we have the Startup Act.
Yes,
that has a set of provision. Someone already helped. But
we already commented on the frequency of the Finance Act. A startup, honestly, we actually appreciate stability. Starting up a business and coming back to hearing that, look, your VAT is now this. And for some of these, in some other clients, it's not as if you cannot have your Finance Act. And acts can be brought up, and government says this takes effect from 1st of January 2025.
Okay.
What that helps to do is to help you plan. At least if you want to continue to be in business in 2025, for example, you can actually continue doing it. Look at the recently introduced one on VAT, where MTN and Airtel and the banks, commercial banks, were you know, somebody could have said, of course, that came in November, end of October, November. Somebody could have said, let it start immediately. Okay. But personally, I also do feel that they should have given more time. Okay. They should have given more time to saying, let's, within the next 8 months, this is what we want you guys to be doing. And there should be a lot of sensitization, because there are entities there that most probably may not, okay, most probably may not be able to recover their input VAT. And when you want to recover, you start hearing words like, look, we need to do an audit. Yeah. And when some of these audits are done, some of the things in there will actually be to kind of wipe out whatever credits that you're waiting for. That you're waiting for. So it's important, and I quite appreciate Dr. Oguche's comment to the effect that we should try and put more stability. So as an institute, I think you and I will take this back to our team, just to enable us as an institute, as a knowledge base, to kind of talk to the powers that be, such that they will be able to consider some of these points. All we need here is stability.
Well, we have run out of time. Please permit us to round up the program. CGG Company, Mr. Yeleke and Mr. Michael in Magbenikaru, and there was a David Akan. We're out of time. Please, you may chat in your question, your contribution, and all that. The Institute Technical team will look at them and respond. Yeah, Augustama, as a run home, right? What would be, if you are to speak to the Minister of Finance directly, one-on-one, unfiltered, or if you are to speak with the chairman of the JTB, who coincidentally is the executive chairman of FRS, if you are to speak to the Minister of Budget and National Planning, with respect to the Nigerian tax environment for national development, what are the things you be chipping?
So I will advise that I don't speak with the minister and the one for national planning. Let me speak to the chairman of the Joint Tax Board. Okay, just because of our time. Okay. My advice to him will be to manage the number of letters, audits conducted on organizations. You have, see, some of these businesses are set up to make money. There is no doubt about that. They're set up to put foods on people's tables. They are not set up to be audited on a per second basis. So you have issues like this. You have the desk audit, you have the tax audit, you have tax investigation, you have special investigation, you have some guys calling for some information. Some of these things are not necessary. Okay, I don't know how far they've gone with respect to their budgets in terms of target for revenue. But look, there are ways by which all these items can be synchronized. And why do we have to be doing audits on a yearly basis or 2 years basis? You can do in a period of 3 years, put 3 years together, pull all of them together, do them, and you still achieve the purpose. And final advice will be on withholding tax. We have said that withholding tax is not a new form of tax. Okay, so that when they go to do audits and withholding tax liability is established, you can now say, okay, those companies from whom those credit notes, those withholding taxes were supposed to have been deducted, have they filed their returns? If they have filed their returns, then you want to charge penalty and interest, okay, for not deducting, because withholding is supposed to be the tax of that other entity and not the tax of the entity that you are reviewing. All these have added to the negative bits of the rating of Nigeria in the ease of doing business platform.
Well, thank you so much. We can go on and on and on. Thank you, Mr. Temitope Samagbeyi, tax partner, global compliance and reporting at Ernst & Young. Thank you, our viewers, for being out there, for staying true for the past 1 hour. We shall be having the 6th episode by the grace of God in the 1st January 2023. So do join us. For commentaries, sponsorship, please call our institute on 09080-8x4 That is 09080-888815. Thank you, and let's have a wonderful December. Bye-bye.